Well, hello. We are live. Um, I don't know what to say. We're live and we're ready to go. I'll just wait for a couple more moments and see if anyone will join us. And then we'll start. Hello, whoever you are. I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, this is why I like not going live, because I don't have to deal with my hair. Anyway, as you can see, cause and effect. Let me pull up this description so that, Neville says we're the operant power, and most of us spend our time reacting to life, right? And collectively, we've done some things collectively. There's a lot going on, but we're going to focus on the cause and the effect in our own lives. If you, a bit of a challenge or an exercise, I should say, if you look in your life, you can see the causes and the effects, right? The cause is quite interesting because humanity is the effect. Humanity is not the cause. Humanity is the effect, right? But if you look around, there's certain cause and effect has to do with events, things that happen. They're things, right? What are the causes in your life? You're doing something for what reason? Why are you doing it? That's what drives us, cause and effect, We have a desire. Why? The desire is the effect. What's causing the desire? So this is why sometimes you have to look a little deeper, not just surface, right? Cause and effect. It goes both ways. It goes forwards and backwards. It's the pendulum. You can't escape it. And inside of cause and effect actually is destiny, the law of destiny. Well, what do you mean destiny? You mean we don't have a choice? No. Do we have choices? There's food for thought. But cause and effect. Cause and effect. If you don't know what the cause is, then the next best question is, what is the effect that I want, right? Because what if you get up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, I'm so bored. There's nothing to do. Well, you are causing that boredom. Well, how are you causing that boredom? Because for some reason, remember Neville says we react to life, right? So we're like, oh my God, I'm so bored. I have to find something to do. And we go and we react to our boredom as opposed to being the cause of excitement. That doesn't make any sense, Angela. Well, think about it. Every single interaction that you have, that you want to have, I'll give you an example. My son just learned to ride his bike. Yay! Like 3 days ago. And me, because his scooter, I don't know what was wrong with the scooter, but it didn't work very well. So I said, okay, let's go back and get a scooter like mine. So he's looking for a scooter. He looks at me and he goes, Mom, I think I'm ready for a bike. And I said, well, let's go pick one out. And that's what we did. And as he's picking this bike out, I said, Lord, because, being raised in the church, it reflects. I said, I don't know how to teach this child to ride a bike. I said, I don't even know where to begin. But what I did see in my mind's eye was him on the bike and riding. And that lasted for all of 5 seconds. So put the bike in the car, went down the hill to the pathways, the bike paths. And I said to him, listen, the law of momentum tells you an object in motion stays in motion, but you got to get it started. I said, look in the direction that you want to go in, because if you look down, you're going to hit something. And I said, you keep your body straight because that's the direction you want to go in. So wherever you want to go is where your body should be facing. This boy got on his bike, and because he said to me, he was always afraid of falling. This is why he never rode before. And Grandpa was always, oh, you're a big boy, you should be riding. And then he says to me, but Mom, what if I fall? I said, you won't. He says, well, how do you know? I said, because you got 2 feet. He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, if you feel your bike tipping to the right, you put your right foot down. If you feel the bike tipping to the left, you put your left foot down. I said, you won't ever fall because you are in control of the bike. That's all I did. That child got on his bike and rode, and we have been riding ever since for the past 3 days. That's what he did. All I taught him was how to apply the law. That's it. I didn't do anything else because I couldn't do anything else. So there's 2 things that happen here. When someone is ready to learn and to grow, nothing, not even fear, will stop them from doing what it is they have deemed themselves ready to do. But it took him this long because it wasn't that he wasn't interested, because he saw kids riding all the time, but he was afraid until one day, 3 days ago, he said, Mom, I'm ready. And that's it. We all do exactly the same thing. When we are ready to do something, we do it. When you're tired of being where you're at, you stop. But only you know when you are, right? Only you know when you're ready. And here's the thing. How do you know you're ready? Well, that's up to each individual person. All I can do is be ready to share when I get the desire. So, well, how come you don't post more? And like I always tell you, when I have the words to say, I'll post. And as I was laying down the night before, because I posted this 24 hours ago, I did the reminder. I was laying in bed and I was dreaming, I'm sure. And all I heard is clear as day, cause and effect is your next video. And I was like, it is? And here we are, cause and effect. So, because he was ready to ride his bike, he can now ride. And Grandpa is like, wait, you didn't have to do anything? I'm like, nope, I didn't have to hold the bike. I didn't do nothing. Because I was like, what good is me holding the bike going to do? You just got to get on it and go. So me, all I can tell you, all I can give you are examples. But when the desire is birthed within you, whatever that cause is, the effect is learning and growth, right? Cause and effect. Let me see here. What daily actions can we take so that we're in control of our lives? What daily actions? Well, Neville says, before you get out of bed, you see your day as how you're wanting it to go. So that means, you see yourself as having been productive, having had fun, having had good interactions, nothing that you want to revise then. You see? So you see your day that way. For me, that's too big. I can go really general and say, you know what? I had a great day and I was productive. I can do that. But when it comes to little things, me, I have different interactions with different people. So if I know, here's an example. I was going to visit my niece. Last time I visited my niece, it was like all hell broke loose. Now, her mother said to me, well, my sister, she said, here, take the baby. Let me tell you something. Jasmine looked at me, and this child hollered and hollered. The longer I held her, the longer she hollered. And I said, oh, I said to my sister, here, you better take this child before she don't hurt herself. So when I was going to visit again this Saturday, before I left the house, now I couldn't really see her face, but I just saw the image of a baby because I said, well, what do I want? And I said, well, I want to practice psychokinesis. The first law, all is mental, right? I said, well, I want to practice that. Well, how do you practice psychokinesis? Psychokinesis is having the ability to raise or lower the mental vibration of yourself to influence somebody else. Now, what did I want to influence? I didn't want control over my niece. What I did want is I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to have a good time. I wanted her to just, be cool with me. So I saw her. I just saw this image, not even really clearly. It was quite fuzzy, but she's got this mocha caramel skin. So I saw that. And on my hands, I was holding her. And it was almost just like I heard her laugh or I saw her smile. Something like that is what I saw. So I get to my sister and brother-in-law's house. And I come in the door, wash my hands, and my sister's like, here, take the baby. And I had my hair tied up. And she looks at me, Jasmine, she looks at me. And I got a smile and I said, oh, here's what it is. So for me, that interaction, the whole time, the only time she got fussy is when she was ready to eat. And I can't help her in that situation. My son says, sorry, Jasmine, I ate it all. There is no more milk left for you. That's what he told her. So, of course, I had to give her to her mother so she could go get some milk. And that was the only time that she even became any kind of fussy at all because she was hungry. But other than that, she laughed and she had a good time. Oh, and she's ticklish. How do I know? Because I know, so that's how I made her laugh. And she was just such a sweet baby, right? Oh, let me look over here. Oh, hi. Oh, 359. You're from my Instagram. Oh, hello, Survey. Young Spring. Well, hello. Well, thank you. It's my twist out prior to wash day. So, yeah, thank you very much. But that's what I did. I saw what I wanted to happen. And some people say, well, how did it happen so quickly? I'm like, manifestations happen all the time, all day, every day. They do, like that. The things that require a more dense vibration, right, can take a little bit longer than a day or two. But for me, the interaction that I wanted, I saw the effect that I wanted. The effect was a happy niece. And what I did, I recognized what I did right away. When I walked in the door and I was talking to Jasmine, I caught myself and I said, remember, we're practicing psychokinesis. I'm staying calm. I'm raising that vibration because I'm going to feel this way. And if I create this kind of current, this kind of vibration within me, well, then she'll respond because I have to have the dominant, right? The dominant vibration in space. And so that's the cause, was me making that mental choice and seeing what I wanted, right? I just knew what I wanted. And the effect was a great day with my niece and my sister and my brother-in-law. It was awesome. That is cause and effect in action. So like, if you're going somewhere, but this is how I do it, because like I said, Neville says, see your day. and what kind of day you want. For me, I go general. You know what? I had a great day. I had great interactions. I was calm. I had fun. I laughed a lot. That for me is general. That's the umbrella. But each interaction, when I'm going to have one, then I decide what that is. And it's not like you have to decide every day, all day. It's just like certain things, at least for me, right? When I know I have to go to the grocery store, I say, okay, well, this is the kind of experience I'm going to have when I go. And I mentally raise my vibration to make sure that all my interactions are good. Because once that vibration, remember what vibration is. This is not vibration in that, oh, I'm selling you something for vibration. Oh, you got to raise your vibration. You got to be in a high vibe. That's not what that means. Literally, your vibration is, when creation is happening, the in and out of creation, because that's what it is, it creates these waves. They're light waves, but they're moving. So the higher the vibration, the faster the light wave moves, and the higher the color. So purple, whites, and pinks, right? Now, if the vibration is moving nice and slow and dense, it means that's more along the line of matter. But emotions have their own vibration as well. So anger, or frustration, we might want to think, oh my God, where do you think that phrase, well, I saw red. The color of anger and frustration is red. Why? Because it is a very slow moving and heavy energy. Vibration. That's why you see the color is red, because it's slow. So if you have that vibration, that red color vibration, well, the law of correspondence tells you, as within, so without. So if you have that vibration, it's projected outward, which means you're cranky. So then if you're cranky, you're only going to meet somebody else who's cranky and other situations that are cranky. So this is why when you're practicing, people say, but that's so much to think about. Not really. It's just that we've never done it before. Remember that scene in The Matrix when Neo is laying on the table and he says, why do my eyes hurt? And Morpheus touches him and says, you've never used them before. Well, that's what this is. This is a case of every day we get up, you have an alarm. Your alarm tells you you got to be at work at this time. And you're there for 8 hours, sometimes more, sometimes less, but you have a strict schedule of what needs to be accomplished in that day. You are being told what to do, how to do it, and how fast it needs to be done. Now, when it comes to you, what are you going to do? What do you want? We don't know what we want because we're always being told what to do. That's why it seems like it's a lot of work. But in all honesty, it puts you in a power position, and not power as in power over anyone, power over you. That's the only power that matters. The power over oneself is the only one that matters. Because if you think about it, I know Confucius said, what good is it to control somebody else when you can't control yourself? The key is never to control someone. The key is to control you, which means you have to be the cause of the events in your own life. That job, that interview, how do you want that to go? Then you put yourself in that mental vibration, which means, because really and truly, mentally is the only way you can do it. This is why whatever you have on the inside, Neville calls it a self-concept. If you continually encounter things that make you feel less than or remind you of the old habit, oh, you used to be this way, or, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. Hey, Cali girl. if you encounter things like that, Neville says, check yourself, your self-concept, which means what mental image do you have? This is the law of mentalism, the law of psychokinesis. Whatever picture you have inside your mind, doesn't matter what it is, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever picture you have inside your mind, the law of correspondence tells you has to show up on the exterior. So you can't change the exterior, not by physically fighting. You know what the scripture tells you? Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. What's your spirit? That's right, your mind. We're not talking about your brain. We're talking about your mind. Your brain is an organ. Your mind, you can't see it, but it is there because you use it. So if you say, you know what? This is my choice, because that's where the choice comes in. You get the choice to choose how you're going to respond to the situation. And this is why being the cause, that's why the chessboard is the photo. If you are the cause, you move around the chessboard, as opposed to you being moved around the chessboard by something or someone. What is the something or the someone? Emotions. Emotions, you see, we get caught up in our emotions. People say, oh, you know, like how boys are like, oh, boys don't cry. Boys don't show emotions except for anger and frustration, right? Because then they're man. I'm like, dude, we're all human. We all get sad. We all get happy. We all cry. We all laugh. Not just, I mean, women is much more exacerbated because we've got more hormones. So we react to them, right? They're the cause of some of our lunacy as chicks, right? Not because we're crazy, but because those hormones just do what they do. And we just go along with it because you can't necessarily change the physiological process. However, the law of psychokinesis, mentalism, if you want to respond better, you can. I'm talking to the girls right now for just a minute. Think about this. You say, okay, you know, we have that saying, mind over matter. Well, your mind, remember, is your spirit. What's matter? Your body. You can tell yourself, because I've seen PMS, believe me, let me tell you. But you can make a conscious effort, which is to say, you know what? The hormones are there and they're going to happen. However, I am going to dictate now how these hormones are going to affect me. They're not going to swing me to and fro. It'll just be a gentle movement. And I'm serious. You will notice a difference. And do you know why you'll notice a difference? Because the minute you acknowledge something, the minute you give it your attention, the minute you give something your attention, you're either going to tell it to do what you want it to do, or you're going to be moved around like a pawn. That's what Neville means when he says you are the operant power. Now, I had a question in the description. The question is, are we really in control? Yes? No? Well, there's the paradox. Yes and no. Well, why yes? We're in control because we decide how we want to respond at any given time. Right? You see, animals lack something that we have as humans. Us human animals, we have the ability to reason, to think, to analyze, right? Which goes above and beyond our nature. Animals, they do on instinct. Like the killer whale when she beaches herself to catch that seal. That is necessity being the mother of invention, and their nature working with them as animals. But you see, us as humans, we have the ability, right? Cause and effect. If you're driving down the street, right, and somebody cuts you off in traffic, you've got two choices. This is how we're in control. Two choices. You can ride his bumper or her bumper and pull them out of the car and beat them or cuss them, whatever. Or you can say, well, get where you're going safely, please. I'm going to get where I'm going safe. You get where you're going safe. Two options, right? So my foot's asleep. That second option, that choice that you're making, you get to be in control of that emotion. Emotion really is there to tell you something. It's a barometer. It's just there. It's feedback. You know, like if you have an itch, the desire is to scratch. If you're hungry, the desire is to eat. If you're thirsty, the desire is to drink. It's a feedback mechanism. But for some reason, right, we've allowed our control of self to be manipulated. You know, you've heard that phrase, you're hangry. You've seen the commercials. You're not yourself when you're hungry. You got a choice. Two choices. You can be the cause of bad behavior, or you can be the cause of good behavior. So like I say, sometimes we don't always know what the causes are because we don't want to analyze and sit and think about it, right? Because sometimes we feel like there's no time to do such a thing as to reflect and say, well, why did I make that choice? Like, why did I make that choice? Why did I do that? We don't ask ourselves these questions sometimes because I think sometimes we're afraid to do it. But like I said, when you are ready, not even fear will stop you. So there's it. The key here is choose. Choose. You can choose your job. You can choose your clothes. You can choose what you're going to eat. That's how I mean by we're in control, yes. But we're not in control because, well, didn't make ourselves. Something made us. But that's perhaps for another day. So you see, we do have control to an extent. And I'm going to throw this one in there. We do have control to an extent. But again, some of us only see where we are now. We only see this as a part, right? It's just one piece of the puzzle, but we don't even think there's a whole puzzle. We just think this one piece is the puzzle, which means we just think this life is the whole puzzle. No, this life is a part of the puzzle. So remember, energy is, you can't destroy it, but you can change it from one form to the next, which means the body will die because it has to. I didn't make that rule. But the spirit within it cannot. So then where does the spirit go? And that's what I mean when I say it is not just this life, but it is the one that's prior, and it is the one that's to come. What you're doing now. So you see all these things that we're practicing? We seem to think sometimes, oh, Young Spring, I just glanced at your question. Past life regression. You know what? I haven't done it. But but it has been something that's crossed my mind. And I guess whenever I'm ready to go there, as Neo says, well, who determined when that question was going to be answered? The Oracle says, you did. So I guess whenever I'm ready, I'll attempt it. Past life regression. However, let me answer it this way for you, young spring. This is why knowing the law is very important. You see, we call it past life regression, right? But you don't have to go backwards necessarily to see what's back there, because the energy has not gone anywhere. The energy is forever before us, right? This is why Neville says to revise. So if you're seeing a continual thing, why do I keep doing this same pattern? Well, that will tell you if you analyze the pattern that is before you, it will show you what you did in the past. So you don't actually have to, what's the word? Regress. You don't have to regress. You simply have to be aware. Well, what is the pattern? So expand on your question, young spring. Why do you want to regress? What is it that you're trying to answer, to understand? And I'll help you out there. The reason I say that is because if you see the pattern, okay? If you see the pattern, that's the effect. You can trace it backwards. You can follow that pattern backwards and find the root cause of it. And you know, people say, well, things are generational. Of course they are, because like I've said before, when a study was done in the Jewish community, they realized that the trauma from the Holocaust was in the DNA of generations of offspring, right? So the trauma is there. Now Neville says to you, when Neville says to revise, that is what he's talking about, that you can go deeper. It's not just a bad experience you might have had. This goes a lot deeper. So if you see generational things, your mother did it, your grandmother did it, your great-grandmother did it, you doing it, you see that? Revise. Why are you going to revise? Because the energy cannot be destroyed. And the energy, what you're revising for the energy, because remember, the energy is there. So if the energy is dense and heavy and, dare I say, of a negative vibration, then it keeps showing up in your life. It doesn't matter which life you live, it keeps showing up until you revise or change the vibration of that energy. How do you change the vibration of that energy? Okay, you look back, you say, you know what? All these women in my family did the exact same thing. Well, that ends today. Why did they do it? Might not be necessary to know why they did it, but what is the outcome that I want now? What is the effect that I want now? You say, well, you know what? I want to control me. I don't want to be controlled by past things that I might be unaware of. And the minute you put your attention on it and you decide to no longer be led by that mysterious thing that you didn't even know was there, you are now looking in the direction that you want to go in. And when you look in the direction that you want to go in, you're automatically mentally raising the vibration and changing the vibration. You're changing the energy signature of that event, of that habit, of that trauma is what you're doing. And because you're changing it for you, because you're changing the energy, right? You're part of a community, you're part of a structure. You got mother, father, sisters, brothers. You're changing it for all of them. You see that? That's the power of revision. But again, give me 1 second. I'm going to answer that. That's the power of revision. That because what you call it You're changing because, like I said, the vibration and the energy is there. And if it's dark and it's heavy and it's dense, it's going to continually affect you with that same vibratory signature. But if you revise it, which means look for the effect that you want. And every time that pattern comes up that you don't want, point yourself in the direction mentally. You say, no, you know what? That used to be how we did it, but we do it this way now. Every single time. This is what you do. And you raise the vibration of that old energy so it can no longer affect you negatively. That's the power of revision. So for past life regression, young spring, that's what that is. You don't have to go to a hypnotist to go backwards. Look at where you are and look at the pattern because it is there. This is why you want to go backwards. You don't ever have to go backwards. What you do is see the pattern that you want to change and look at it. You say, all right, I recognize this one. Okay, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do this. So now you are becoming the cause to create the future effect, as opposed to just being manipulated by a past energy that you had encountered before. So I trust that answers your question for past life regression. Right? Again, these are all names and terms that we've come up with because that's what we do. But you don't have to go backwards to solve a problem. Look at where you are, see it, recognize it, and then decide, because it is only mental work that you can do. And that's how you're going to break that pattern from back there, by changing, revising the energy signature and going forward. Serby, your question. What to do when we are not able to let go of circumstance? Is it because we are too attached to it? Expand your question. A circumstance. What do you do when you're not able to let go of a circumstance? Expand by being more specific. Expand by being more focused with your question, and I will better be able to streamline, because it's too big for me. It's too big. So letting go, like, you see, like, even that word, letting go of a circumstance. What is the circumstance? So that I can better give an answer. Because words like letting go, being attached, that's so, what's the word? Yeah. Yeah, I will. Yeah. But that's what we do. It's quite easy, you know. It gets easier with practice. Like when I see, hey, Javi, like when I watch my boy riding his bike, I'm back here on a scooter trying to keep up. I like my scooter. I don't have room in the back of my hatchback for 2 bikes. So, right? All in time. But just watching him having accepted the fact as to what he wanted to do, and he's watching himself get better every time he gets on his bike. Every single time he gets on his bike, he says, oh, I'm so much better because it got easier. Do you see? So young spring, you've been visualizing that you have enough money to pay for your surgery, and you're paying them on the 3rd, which is today. And you say now you still don't. Revise, indeed, right? So now the question, I didn't want to touch this today. I wanted to do this in another video. Young spring. Let me just wait for a minute. There is always a way. There is. And see, right now, when you said you've been visualizing, right? You've been visualizing. These things don't need to take a long time. So now the question becomes, what is the mental image that you have in your mind regarding this payment? What is that mental image that you have? Is the mental image, oh, I got to visualize because, I believe this can happen. I trust the process. Is that your mental image? Remember last time I said, because Serbi said she wanted it to rain, our visualization, that's a word that's beginning to grow barnacles for me now. Visualizing. This is the law of psychokinesis. What is it that you want? Because the image that you're holding in your mind, dare I say resistance, is the image. Young Spring. Because there's something there. The image is there. So it's not that you don't have enough money, right? Like I told Serbi last time, don't visualize making it rain. Visualize it actually raining. See the rain. So in this case, the mental image that you have is one of still trying to come up with the money or to conjure it up. That's the mental image. See, I did not want to touch on this today, but I'm going to. A lot of people have been using this. The catchphrase nowadays now is to believe, right? Believe. I'm going to touch on it lightly. One does not need to believe. One needs to know. You need to know. So Young Spring, here's how you have to open yourself up for this situation, right? Because this is happening. The surgery is happening. You can look at this situation and you say, you know what? If I don't have the cash on hand, then here's how this is going to work. I would prefer to have the cash on hand. Done. I don't even want to negotiate that. That's what you want, the cash on hand. But also what can happen is there's an opportunity for them or for you to say, okay, then they're going to extend a certain grace period to me to have it paid off in. You see what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of ways that we can come towards that money. And I understand there's a level of, let me say it to you this way. The other day, it was last week, I looked into my account and I said, oh, I got $20. And I was like, yikes. And I said, you know what? That's it. I said, enough of that foolishness. I said, I quoted the law. I said, you know what? The image that I have. So the image that I had in my mind was seeing, I just saw that I had money in my account because I always check it online. So I saw that I had money and I said, you know what? The process of creation is that money comes in, money goes out, right? That's the process of creation. A penetration and an exit. Come in, go. And I said, that's what it is. Money is always coming in. And let me tell you something. 2 days later, I got money. And I was like, it was government money. I don't even know how many programs we have, like whether it's like a GST rebate or I have no idea what it is. But it was there 2 days later. And I was like, wait, what? And I'm like, it's not anything that I was aware of that was coming. And then a couple of days later, I got money from royalties for narration. And I was like, hey, and like, that's what I'm saying. Money comes in, money goes out, because that is the process of creation. In and out is the process of creation, right? So all I said was, enough is enough. I don't need to feel good about this. This has nothing to do with my emotions. This has nothing to do with anything other than the law. And the law says, the law of correspondence says, whatever image I have in my mind. So the image I had in my mind was of opening my online banking and seeing money there, seeing a balance there, so that it comes in, I'm going to spend it. That's what I saw. And I said, enough of that. So that's why I say you need to know the law. When you know the law, you experience the law. And experience, you see, belief comes from religion. Belief is taking the word of someone else because that's what they're saying. They're telling you this is how it happens. So right now you're in a position to believe me or to doubt me. You understand? So this is why when Neville says practice and try it, there's a reason he wanted you to practice it and try it, so that you would know for yourself. Because when you know, you no longer need to believe. Does that make sense? So the law is whatever mental image you have here must show up out there. Invisible has to move to visible. So this is why you need to know what image you're holding. Is the image that you're holding, you don't have it? Or the image is that you do have it? That is the question. Because the image that you are holding is there because of your attention to it. So what are you paying attention to? Are you paying attention to the fact that you don't have it yet? Or are you paying attention to, oh, yes, I've got this? You don't have to you don't have to work yourself up to believe something or to feel good about it. The cause, right? Because the effect is money, making it rain. That's the effect. Then the cause has to be, I have money, which means the mental image is seeing yourself always having money. And how do you know you always have money? Because you're always spending it. So the mental image is, are you aware that you have it? Or are you aware that you don't have it? Because those are two different pictures. Those are two different pictures. Okay, so Serbi, the SP. This is a sensitive subject for a lot of people, actually, because I get SP questions all the time. I see it all the time. So the mental image is very important here. Right now, the focus is on the obstacles, which is they want him to be with somebody else. That's where your focus is. That's the mental image you've got. That is the mental image you have, Serbi. So how do you change that mental image? Remember, I told you, don't visualize making it rain. Visualize or hold the mental image of it raining. So what does that mean for an SP? That means instead of having the mental image of the obstacles, or his family wants this, we're this far apart, that's the mental image you currently have. So this is what's constantly being recreated. It's in you, it has to come out. So how are you going to change that mental image? Then, if you already know who this person is, then you have to see this person in a relationship with you. That's the mental image. So that means you're walking hand in hand and you're swinging, you know, or you're on the phone all the time, or you're making dinner together. Whatever that mental image is, that confirms then that you have what it is that you want. Because as I said right now, based on reading what you're saying to me, your mental image is the obstacles, not having. And the only way to get yourself from not having to having, living in the end, Neville calls it, instead of looking at what you don't, I don't have this. He's still there. I'm still here. The mental image has to be you and him being in the same space, in the same picture in your mind. That is what that has to be. Does that make sense? Because that is the circumstance. Because every time you give your attention, and here's the key, you know, it is the attention. I'll give you an image because I've mentioned to you about creation before. Creation is no thing and possibility. Nothing, everything. Everything means, you know, you've heard all things are possible. The reason why all things are possible is because possibility constantly impregnates nothingness all the time. This is why you have that in and out. Nothingness appears to be empty. Let me bring it down in this way then. The womb, the uterus, appears to be empty, right? But it gets filled up. Sperm and egg come together, and all of a sudden, something is alive in the womb, right? All things are possible because possibility and nothing. Those are the two things for creation. So right now we're in a place of, you know what, I don't have this, which it looks like it's nothing, right? But the possibility is, this is what I want. I want the relationship. So what of the relationship do you want? So now you say, okay, you know what? Here's who I want to be with. And here's a picture of what I want. We're cooking dinner together. Or you're married, like you saw the ceremony. And you're impregnating now, because it's a blank canvas. That mental image is blank right now. So you're either putting the ring on, he's putting the ring on you, or you're cooking together, you're walking together, you're cuddled together, you're putting that image here. And the law of correspondence tells you whatever image is here has to show up. But if you have the image of, where is he now? He's not here yet. But that's the image you're putting here. This is why you have to always be honest with yourself and ask yourself, what is it that you're actually doing? What am I doing? Am I griping? It's not here yet? Or am I seeing all the ways that prove to me that it is here? Those are the two questions. So shall I just affirm the reality I want? You're damn right you affirm the reality that you want. You are creating the reality that you want every day, all day long, by what you pay attention to. This is what we're doing all day, every day. The minute you give your attention to something, so however you've given your attention, if you've given your attention as, well, that's the mental image, and it shows up. But if your mental image is one of, well, that has to show up. So your mental image has to be what it is you want to see. If you want to see him and you together, then that's the mental image you have to have. See him and you together. In whatever fashion you want to see him and you together in. Does that make sense? Because this is what you're creating, a carbon copy of what's in here to out there. Does that answer your question, Serby? See it the way you want it to go. Remember how in Catch the Mood, the Neville Goddard lecture, when he said he was, what was he doing? He, in his imagination, he was on the gangplank. He walked up the gangplank, you know, and he was looking out at the ocean, and he was feeling nostalgic. You know, he sent up his little girl, he sent up his wife, and he said they walked up in that exact order. He says if the order was wrong, he wouldn't have cared. But the same way he saw it was the way it unfolded. And the reason for that is it is a carbon copy that you are making. If you put X on a piece of paper and put it into a photocopier or take a picture of it, are you going to get Y as a copy or Z as a copy? You're going to get X as a copy because that is what you are copying from. So if you are continually seeing what you do not have, then that's what you're copying over and over and over again. So you must see, like I said before earlier, when I just had a flash of my niece in my arms, she was a happy baby. That was all I saw, was a happy baby. I didn't see anything else. Because it was like a flash. It didn't even last for like 5 seconds, I swear. Like it was just so short. I just saw a happy baby because that was the picture I wanted to recreate. Right? You're welcome, my dear. So it's always, you get out what you put in. You see, all of these aphorisms that we say, but because we say them, we've been saying them for so long, they've lost their meaning. We don't know what the hell we're saying anymore. You know, that's really and truly what it is. Right? So that's how you get to be the cause in your own life, by specifically determining. What did I hear the other day? Somebody said, oh, I was bored. There was nothing to do. And I said, but you didn't tell yourself what you wanted to do. Well, what if you don't know how to alleviate your boredom? Well, then this is what you do. You know what? I would like something to make me laugh right now. I would love to encounter something fun that I've never done before or seen before. I want to laugh and have a good time. Right? Because you sometimes being specific is good. Again, that image of a happy baby is all I saw because that's what I knew I wanted. Hi, Julie. How would you go about illness? Mind over matter. Now, I got to do a disclaimer, Julie. I got to do a disclaimer. The advice given on this YouTube Live at the moment is not meant to diagnose or treat any illness. Please consult with your medical practitioner. I have to say that because I must. So now, Julie, in your situation, let me say it here. It can be challenging because every time you swallow, it kind of is yucky, right? And it feels kind of, yes, I'm all for these kinds of things and manifesting and saying what you want. But sometimes, because what's the word I want to use? We must always use common sense. Because let me tell you something. I remember back in the day, I think Noah was 4 and he had a really high fever. It was 2 days. And so I took him to the hospital and I made sure to get tested for, strep, meningitis, those kinds of things, because bacteria is a funny thing. Bacteria will multiply. There's a gajillion of them and only one of you. And the toxic load is too much for the physical form and they will kill you. So as long as you've ruled out anything that's life-threatening, we can proceed. You see what I'm saying? Don't say it's tonsillitis if you got strep, because you got to go deal with that, because that shit'll kill you if you leave it unattended. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm a mother and I understand these things, and we get worried and we freak out. So now, once you figured all that out, because doctors are here for a purpose, right? I've gone through the training. I've got 5 years of TCM training. But you can't look at someone who's ill. You can't be ignorant. But I will say this to you. Practicing the law of psychokinesis, which is raising the mental vibration. So illness hurts. So what's the opposite of illness? Health is the opposite of illness. So you say, okay, I've ruled out everything that could be life-threatening. So I know I'm healthy. Let's pick up the pace, body. You do what I tell you. We're healing now. Every day, every hour, I'm feeling better. Do you see, Julie? That's the direction you want to look in. You want to look at health now, which means when you get up, you go, oh, look at that. Okay, I'm feeling good today. Let's go for a walk. Let's move the body. Let's strengthen the body. It feels good, because those are all things that healthy people do. That's what you look at. I cannot say that I've had enough experience, because God, we live in the world of Caesar. And this is why sometimes you have to do disclaimers, right? This is why. So as I've said, as long as you've ruled out anything life-threatening, now we look towards health. We say, okay, my body's feeling healthier every day. I'm feeling renewed every day. I'm stronger every day. That's the vibration that we want to be on. Right? And I had mentioned it a little while ago. I can't say the word Ho'opono or Ho'oponopono. I don't know what it is, the word, but I do know and I understand how it works, because allegedly the founder of that, he healed all these people who were mentally ill. It didn't tell you how they were mentally ill. It just said they were mentally ill people. And to do that, you have to have control. Remember, I said psychokinesis, being able to control your mental vibration so as to influence the mental vibrations of everything else around you. That's what that is. It's not magic. It's not impossible. It works because it works by changing the mental vibration. But you have to change the mental vibration of yourself. Now, he was a master. So he had control over his own mental vibration. And this is why he could, I hate that word manipulate, but he could change their mental vibrations. He could raise theirs. And that's how he created the physical healing for them. You see how that's how that works. And yeah, Callie girl, like it works, right? But a lot of people teach it and they don't know why it works or how it works because it's a fad or it's an in thing or it's a new class to teach, right? And I've been seeing a lot of that lately, a lot of clickbait things. Manifest this in 2 days, manifest that in 3 days. And I'm like, dude, you're manifesting all day, every day. We can't see what we're doing is we're looking to the outside. I told you before, not by might, not by power. You cannot force things on the outside, which means, oh, if I try that technique, oh, that technique, oh, let me try this technique. That's forcing things from the outside. The only thing that can be done is to change the mental vibration. And I told you what that vibration is. I'm not talking about, look, a lot of people use that word. Oh, you got to raise your vibration, get in the vortex, be in the zone. But again, it is just a matter of them regurgitating what they've heard. And I have always said, I don't want to regurgitate information. I want to understand how things work and explain how they work so that we always get the same result every time. This is why you have a bread recipe, so that that loaf of bread is going to turn out the same way every single time, not a hit or miss, right? But that's what we do. We run around trying to find this quick fix on how to do this thing real quick and real fast. Then in all honesty, if we would slow down, the easiest way to do it is mentally. Oh, Callie girl. Listen, you see, and techniques go back, rituals go back. There's nothing wrong with having a technique. There's nothing wrong with a ritual. But those are things that we do when we don't know. Then you know the laws that govern the universe and you practice them. You will find your focus being, when you learn to focus the mind, that's the key. That's where the power is in the mind. But the issue with mind is people now want to say, oh, you know how you have that, there's this thing called persuasive or hypnotic speech. That's what I'm talking about. Power is not meant for somebody to wield it over you. Power is meant for you to wield it over yourself. But you see, the problem with power is when you get some, you want more. No, I want power over me, not over anybody else. So when I teach you how to have power over yourself, that's what you exercise. Young Spring, here's your question. Could animals manifest, or is it exclusive to us humans? Animals don't have the ability to reason in the way that humans do. However, because they lack the ability to reason, their nature works with them, not against them. So the cheetah, you see, the cheetah, she's primed to chase the Thompson gazelle. We call it the law of selection. The Thompson gazelle serpentines, which is runs like that. And so does the cheetah. So the nature of the cheetah is complementary and complemented by the Thompson gazelle, right? That's its favorite prey. It'll eat anything, but that's its thing, the Thompson gazelle. And if you watch them together in tandem, you'll see that the nature of the cheetah and the nature of the Thompson gazelle work together. The same for the killer whale. I bring her up again because she's beautiful. They have the largest brains, right? Yet they don't reason. It looks like they reason, but they don't. It's their nature, and it complements. So then she beaches herself because that seal, and you see, the thing is, the seal thinks it's smart. It's a little bit away from the water's edge on the sand, and it thinks it's fine. And the killer whale comes along and she says, bitch, please. So she beaches herself. She moves in such a way that she works her body. Listen, if you watch her do it, it is a very fine line between life and death for the killer whale. And she teaches it to her young. And they have to get it. If they don't get it, they die. That's just the way it is. So their nature, she comes up here, she's got that seal in her mind, and she's like, ooh, I'm going to eat you for lunch today. And she rolls up on there and she works it. Bam, she's got it. And she works her way backwards. She's in the water. She's free to go. The nature of animals complements their behavior and their instinct. Because they do not reason. They go on instinct. They're driven by instinct. That's the answer to your question. So for humans, we tend to want to be driven by our emotions as well. Well, I'm supposed to feel this way. You hurt my feelings. But you see, the problem with emotions is emotions are there to, as I said, they're feedback. This is the difference between animals and humans. Because humans are animals too, but it's just that we have the ability to reason. What does reason mean? To think, to analyze, to sort it out then. Great answer, Julie, because that's true. We have mind for thought and speech. Animals do not. Right? But you see, with our emotions, we get caught up in that. But then emotions are just there to give you a feedback. Meaning, if a vibration or an energy is really dark and heavy, you're going to feel irritation, angst, frustration, grr. You see what I'm saying? But if you are feeling happy, joyous, elated, what are they telling you now? What's the key word? What's this catchphrase? Gratitude. You feel gratitude every day. Trust me, you do. You sure do. If that meal is real good and you sit there and you unbutton the top of your jeans and you go, that is gratitude. When you're out walking by the river, or you're out scootering or biking, or holding the hand of someone you really appreciate, or looking at your baby, or petting your dog or your cat, that is gratitude. You see? And it has a particular vibratory signature, right? A vibration. So that's how you know what vibration you're on. And when you know what vibration you're on, that'll tell you what your mental image is. Because if the mental image makes you feel bad, hurts your feelings, makes you cry and fret, then you say, oh, I understand. But what do? We indulge. You hurt me. I'm gonna cut you off. You toxic. I'm done. You see? You don't get toxic people. Now that's a word that, shoot, growing barnacles. You don't get those kinds of things or interactions in your world if those mental images are not already there. So when you encounter a situation that you deem to be toxic Why am I always dating toxic women? Why am I only dating toxic men? You see? When you ask yourself that question, look, the answer is there. The mental image on how you perceive yourself to be. Well, why is it that when I see things, somebody asked a question about war and famine, and I'm like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Somebody says, oh, are you supposed to go to those people in Africa and tell them to start feeling better so they can manifest better? Now, here's how we do this to each other collectively. When you're dealing with a situation that you can't see past and you haven't practiced rising above it, okay? This is where now you get tossed around because of that law, the law of polarity and the law of rhythm, the pendulum. However hard that emotion is on one way is how hard the emotion has to come back on the other way, right? That's the law. So what we've done, right? What's happened? This is why that question in the description is, are we in control? Yes and no. Now here's the no part of that answer. When someone with a stronger will than you dictates how things are going to be, right? You are victim to it. Well, I don't have a victim mentality, Angela. I worked hard to get rid of my victim mentality. Listen to what I have to say before you freak out, right? When someone with a stronger will than yours comes along and manipulates, they put their mental image into your mind. Why do they need to put a mental image in your mind? Because a mental image that is invisible must become visible. The only way for manifestation or creation to happen is to have a mental image to copy from. This is why when Neville says to you to guard what you allow into your mind, this is what he's telling you to guard against. Because if somebody puts a mental image in your mind, you will continually recreate it. So this is why we've got war. This is why we've got famine. This is why we've got this. This is why we've got that. Because every single day we are bombarded with mental images that we do not consciously refuse to partake in. Do you see what I'm saying to you? That's what I'm saying. Yes, Miss Callie girl. Your mental image of narcissistic men. And that's it. It has nothing to do with them, right? It nothing to do with anybody but you. There's only the self. But this is the issue that we're having, is that people don't want to believe it. But here's something I've had to come to terms with and understand. I always say, oh no, why is my count so low for numbers? But you have to understand something. People who want to hear you, not just with their ears, but with their heart, because they're seeking growth and movement in their world, they come together with the person who's sharing it. Do you see that? That is the law of correspondence. Because, or it's the law of cause and effect. Correspondence, cause and effect are the same thing. Right? I always say, okay, whoever is ready to hear it, bring them. And it's the same thing I always say. Whatever you want me to say it. And I'll say it. You see? So that's why those two things have to come together. Whatever is inside of me is going to show up out here in the people who mirror that back to me every single time. I don't get paid for doing anything I do here, because that's not what it has to do with. It doesn't have anything to do with how popular I am, because when you're teaching these kinds of things, they are vastly unpopular. And this is why I do my best to not post a clickbait title. I'm not here to clickbait you. I'm not here to honeycoat things. I'm here to tell you that whatever image you have in your mind, this is why you must know what that image is. And if you don't know what the image is, look at your life. What are you seeing? What are you seeing? That's what will tell you what the image is. You see, cause and effect. If you don't know the cause, look at the effects that are happening. Then you will find the cause. Every cause has an effect, and every effect has a cause. Right? But everybody will awaken at their own pace. There's so much I can share, but we're not ready. I wasn't ready, but I wasn't ready, but I guess I was, because I know it. Right? This is why Neville says, be like Simon and guard what comes into you. Because once that image is there, sometimes it can be hard to uproot, because we get discouraged. We get discouraged because, and this is why I tell you, it has nothing to do with your feelings or your emotions. There's no need to be discouraged ever about things. Angela, how dare you say that? Because there's never a need to be discouraged. If you know the law, what's there to be discouraged about? You know, the law tells you the image you hold is the one you recreate. Why? Because as above, so below, as within, so without. Why? Because everything moves. Why does it move? Because it is seeking balance between two opposites. And because you're seeking balance between two opposites, you're going to create a rhythm. And if you create a rhythm, that rhythm is called cause and effect. Why? Because there's always a masculine and always a feminine. That does not mean penis, vagina, please. That's not what that means. It means masculine fills. Feminine is filled. You see? Those were all 7 of those principles right there. So when you know those 7 principles, why do you need to get angry? You see, because when you know those 7 principles, right, you now take control. Neville tells you, take control of yourself or you will be controlled. This is what he was telling you. He just didn't tell you that it's the 7 laws that govern the universe. He didn't tell you that, right? So if you practice those 7 laws, you will always be in control of you. And when you're in control of you, a funny thing happens. You see, because that vibration that you're on, right? You never have to seek to raise your vibration because it already is. You don't have to seek to meditate, because the minute you start focusing on, the laws, you're now automatically getting closer to spirit, which is meditation. Because the more you practice those 7 laws, the closer you get to spirit, the closer you get to stillness. And because I keep telling you, what you do in this life with the energy that is within you, with the vibration that is within you, is going to influence the other life. Because your body will rot in the ground, but your spirit cannot die. So what does it do? Well, whatever that spirit is, it will bring unto itself. So if you are going to spend this life being angry and frustrated and toxic, well, then guess what? You are predetermining what your next life will be. You're setting it up. That's what you're doing. So, yes, it seems like I'm preaching all the time. I try not to really. I really do try not to. But the whole point is, yes, we want what we want in this life. But we must practice those 7 laws. And when you practice those 7 laws, you will recognize how quickly manifestation happens, because manifestation is the effect. Creation is the cause. There's no secret to manifestation. It needs to be understood. Right? That's all I'm gonna say. Like, because you can't beat someone into understanding. Trust me. It took me 12 years to figure that out. You cannot beat somebody into understanding. Trust me. Being a mother, yes. Oh, I learned a lot from him in these 12 years. I learned to observe, actually observe. I learned to listen. I learned to share in such a way that he could understand. Do I have all the answers? No. But I can answer questions because I know those 7 laws. When you understand them, nothing is a mystery. That's the beauty of what it is. And so you never have to try and make yourself feel better. What did somebody call it? Kelly. You know what, girl? I understand. I do. I get it. 20 years of marriage. You know what though? But that's the thing, because we're not taught these. That's why we struggle sometimes, right? When you know them, like there's that. I saw this thing with Henry Cavill. He was reading on Thirst Tweets. I love me some Henry Cavill. Anyway, somebody said to him that Henry Cavill gives off big dick energy. So he didn't answer the question. He just looked at the camera and he goes, right? That's all he did. Which means then you know what you know, and you practice it and you see it and you experience it. There's a quiet confidence that comes, meaning you don't have to beat nobody with the word. You don't have to pound the pavement to tell somebody about Jesus and how he's going to save them. You don't have to get angry at your neighbor. You don't got to cuss. You don't got to do nothing. Why don't you have to do that? Because you know whatever mental image you are holding, you are going to recreate. And so you are very cautious about the mental images you hold, because you know the shit you don't want in your life, right? That's the big dig energy we can walk around with. It's not arrogance. It is an understanding of how the shit works. That's what you do on a daily basis. Cool, calm, and collected. Cool as a cucumber. That's what my father says. Young Spring, yes. This is the thing. When one wants to learn, they'll ask questions. With seeing making it rain versus it raining. Well, therein lies the answer, right? So every time now, this case is money. See the money. See the money. A man said he had a stack of bills and he would fan them, he would smell them, and he would close his eyes and he would see that thing in his mind all the time of him just having the money. And what I've got, hold on. Here's a stack of money. And that's what he would do. That's all he would do. That's what he did in his hand. He would fan the stack of money, and then he would close his eyes, and that's what he would see himself doing. That is seeing money versus having to make money. You understand? The money is there. That's the difference, right? You see it. Because here's an exercise. A glass of water. Can you see it? Can you see a glass of water? Now, if you drive, fill up your gas tank. Fill up your gas tank. Right? If I say Bible, an image comes to mind, does it not? That's what you're doing. So, this is why I tell you, this has nothing to do with feelings or emotions. Your feelings and emotions are there to tell you what image you hold. So if I say money, what image just flashed to mind? That's something you can do when you're out and about, right? You can say, okay, oh, you know what? It's so hot. I want a Slurpee. I want a popsicle. Well, what do? You see the popsicle in your head. You see the popsicle in your head. Listen, let me tell you something. I'm slightly addicted to kale. A little bit, okay? A little bit. When I want kale, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, if it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I rolled over, all of a sudden I smell the coconut oil and I taste the kale on my tongue. I have to get out of bed and go make it. Why? That's the image. Right? Think of your favorite food. You don't try to think of your favorite food or think of enjoying your favorite food. You see it. And if you see it, you recreate it. Right? Money, 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 money. Money. Right? So what you seeing? Actually, one of the first images that came to mind was Cardi B. She said, making that money. That's what she calls it. Money. Right? So that's what it is. Does that make sense, Young Spring? If I tell you, ooh, oranges, what do you see? Do you see yourself peeling the orange? Or do you see the orange? So whatever it is that conjures that mental image, as soon as you say it, here's one. Here's an example that you're going to try it. It's in your mind now, I'll tell you. Lion King. One of two things will happen there. You'll either see Simba or Timon and Pumbaa, or you'll hear Beyonce singing one of the songs from Lion King. Oh, right? That's what it is. You see in your mind's eye what it is that you want. You want to move. We'll see the U-Haul truck. But listen, nothing denotes moving like a U-Haul. When you see a U-Haul on the road and somebody driving it, you know they're moving to somewhere else. You see? U-Haul. It depends if you want to move cross country. Now, if you fly and you'll see a plane. Right? So if you are doing something, if you want to manifest something, what is it that you want to manifest? That's the question. What do I want? That's what Neville says. What is your desire? What do I want? A boat. Well, then a picture of a boat has to come to mind, right? So if that means you see the boat, but that's what you want, the boat. So he tells you how is irrelevant. How is irrelevant? Because we don't know how, because we can't see that big. But you might start seeing boats. And now you say, if you start seeing boats, you say, whoa, now I want to own a boat. And then you see yourself on your boat. Right? Because that's what it is. Does that make sense? That's how you, but you see, we do it all the time. If you are driving and it is so hot outside, the first thing that comes to mind, depending on where you live, you could say, ooh, all of a sudden a snow cone flashes in your mind, or a popsicle, or a Slurpee, or a cold soda, or a cold pop, depending on where you're from. You see it flash there and then you go get it. Do you not? So it works the other way now. If you see death and destruction and violence in your mind, what do you possibly think you're going to see and encounter? This is why Neville says, guard what you allow to come in. Make sense? You can see that as well as seeing yourself with fanning the money. Do them both. Do them both. Because now, remember what Neville says, there's a feeling that accompanies every desire. So here again, emotions and feelings, right, tell you what your image is. If you're going to think about money and your belly tightens and your shoulders come up here, well, that's not the image of money you want, is it? But if now you're thinking about money and you're like, yeah, that's the image of money you want. Because that's how you know what direction you're going in. You know, they tell you if it feels good, do it. You know what direction you're going in based on the barometer of your feelings. That's what they're there for, in a feedback. That's what it's there for. So if you're going to see it in the bag, then you walk with that confidence. Yeah, I did what I said I was going to do. I paid my bill. Yeah, because I got the money, right? Because I'm seeing money in my mind. Thus, I have to recreate money in the world because that's what will happen. So yes, young spring, you can see that, or you can see the flicking it and smelling it. That's what you can do. Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing all these. And you see, we want to call them success stories. I'm like, what are the other manifestations or failures? We don't fail in our manifestations, people. We don't fail in our manifestations. Nor do we succeed in our manifestations. We manifest. Because manifestation is the effect. Cause is the creation. So we got to stop this nonsense of, oh no, I failed in my manifestation. No, you didn't fail in your manifestation because you manifested exactly what your mental image was. Ta-da! Right? So that's that's what I'll say about that. Today I was gonna go outside and record and do this live, but they're working across the street. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna revise that. I'm not even gonna argue. Because I had already had inside set up. So I just came in here and I said, we gonna do this. Right? So yes, all I will revise is doing these lives from my back balcony. How's that? How you like them apples? That's how I'll revise that, right? But if there aren't any more questions, my beautiful, beautiful people, yeah. So if you see it, if that's what's in your mind, that is what you will recreate every single time. So again, if you're bored, you're the cause. Well, how do you fix the boredom? What would you like to do for fun? Then the image should be seeing yourself going, yay! That should be the image, right? Because that denotes fun, right? That's how I interpret having a good time. Yeah, me, I just see my boy or hear him telling me something crazy. Oh, believe me, there's never a dull moment around this house with the kind of questions that I get asked by a 12-year-old. Lord help us all. Let me tell you, this child is something else. But you know how it is. You know how children are. Eager to learn, aren't they? And because we homeschool, right? There's always learning going on. Yeah, always learning. We did physics as we were riding the bike. See? Physics. Look at that. So anyhow, my beautiful people, I do love you. Thank you for spending time with me again today. If you have a question that you want covered, because I am going to do another live. I was trying to decide if I wanted to do it on Friday or Monday, but I don't know. But it's about believing, because that is a word that's, oh, let me tell you, I keep hearing about this. Oh, what if I don't believe? What if I can't believe? What if I don't have faith? I'm like, all these things are from religion, people. You need to know. You need to know. You need to know. Because when you know, you know. What's that inscription tell you on the thing in Delphi? It says, man, know thyself. Right? And when you know yourself, you'll know who? God. Know thyself. Oh, I will, Young Spring. I will. But I think it's overcast. It's hot, but it's overcast. So we're gonna go riding. We're gonna go riding. Yeah. At least that's what I would like to do. But he says, oh, Mom, I hurt all over, because he's growing now too, right? But yes. But Young Spring, it's not a success story, honey. It's just that you finally have put the image you want recreated, right? Because when you say success, that makes you feel good. But when you hear failure, that makes you feel bad. Let's not go into this pendulum of feel good, feel bad. Just know that you're a master manifester already. Okie dokie. How many times did I say goodbye? I feel like we're lovers. and I say, oh, we'll talk again later. I love you. Bye. Hang up the phone. That's what it feels like. I swear to God, every single time that this is what it feels like. And I just love it. Yeah. So Cali girl, Young Spring, Julie. Let me see, Serby. You guys. And then for the others who are here that I don't know who they are because they don't tell me these things. Thank you for being here with me today. And we'll be back again soon as the spirit moves me again. Alrighty? So remember, whatever image you want to see is the image you should have. And to confirm what image you want, how does that image make you feel? If it makes you feel good, you got the right image. If it don't make you feel good, revise the image. Much love, my beautiful people. Go and enjoy the beautiful day, because I will. Toodaloo.